Alright, everybody, we're back again. I'm here with Mr. Shadow Man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Alright, and today we're going to touch on the subject of inspiration. How young men should be inspired, because unfortunately out there in our society at the moment, there's not too much inspiration of anything. I'll let Mr. Shadow Man start us off, so go ahead, sir.
So first, I would say to get motivated, look at what other people online are doing, and maybe it'll inspire you to do the exact same. Like you see someone with a nice car, nice house, and then you start wondering, like, how does he do it? Like, maybe he has a channel like ours, explaining like what to do in life and how to get money, or anything, or actually anything you want, and that should motivate you to do the same thing.
Okay, so what would you say though to the opposite of that is, a person who already has a masculine frame, because you're, let's put it another way. Would the car and the fancy things make you a man or a better man because you have certain things?
I don't think so. I feel like having nice things makes it like a motivational thing, because not every man has those things, right? So I feel like that's one of the main points people get motivated to see other people with nice stuff, and then they want to be just like them.
Okay, then we go back to the other question: is would it be right to compare yourself to somebody else? Wouldn't that kind of bring you down in a way?
Yeah, it can. Those like pros and cons.
And then
maybe if someone's in the wrong mindset, then yeah, they could get like mad at the person, just give them hate. But other people, let's see, that's motivation. So
okay,
it really depends on your mindset, how you look at it.
All right. So then, what do because last time we were talking about how the virtual world that we live on, which is being online practically, that's a virtual world which we make. And if it's not real, and you see a guy with a Lamborghini and he's out there getting upset and being emotional, the question is, would he be part of the inspiration that you want to be like?
It's a tough question, to be honest. I don't know, maybe if you want to do anything it takes to get that, then probably. But
okay,
you have to be extra motivated to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll say that.
Yeah, because the question becomes, right, how far do we measure our motivation? Because that's the main question right there, is how far do we measure it? Do we get motivated to the extent that we will do absolutely anything for what we need to get? I mean, but then that goes, and are we talking about anything to the point of criminality?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
yeah. See, you see what I'm saying? So that's
that would be my limit. I wouldn't do anything illegal.
Right? I mean, that makes two of us right now. So it's like, practically doing anything illegal would definitely be out, right? So then, now do I, I'll give you a good example, right? With these guys that are considered the softer, weaker men, right? They will do anything. I mean, they'll lie, they'll I don't know, manipulate just to get attention from a girl, right? Or just to have her say hi to you, to hi back, whatever it is. Just to get any attention from the girl, recognition or validation from the girl, anything, right? So these guys do everything possible. So they get inspired by trying to talk to her, and then they'll go through great lengths to drag themselves through the mud, practically bend themselves forward, backward, just to be with this girl. And the girl ends up not wanting to be with them because, well, they're not showing masculine traits. So my question to you is, how do we get inspired, but we don't get inspired in the wrong sense, and we keep our positive masculinity going. So now my question to you, so you can give this answer to everybody else, it might help some young man out there trying to get through the struggles of, you know, being a man, and he's just starting out. My question to you is, what advice would you give him when it comes down to inspiration?
Another tough question. It's pretty hard to decide. Honestly, it depends on the guy, because everyone can think differently.
Okay, so let's say.
See, I'm trying to put it in a word. How can I say it?
So let's
like
say
a specific thing.
Okay. So let's say this guy is just coming out of whatever he's coming out of, right? He just got out of high school. He's got absolutely nothing. He's still living with his mommy and daddy. How does that guy get inspired? Or where does he get his inspiration from? When it comes down to work, when it comes down to building, when it comes down to wanting a future family.
Like I said before, you can do it online, but as you say, like comparing someone could bring yourself down. Or I would say he could network with people to see what they're doing. Maybe that would motivate him, because like a man needs like a group of like friends. The guys need to hang out, and maybe that'll motivate him. If he sees like his friend is doing really good, like he's gonna ask him, hey, what do you do for work? Like, oh, I want to do this with you, and that. Like being with a group of masculine men will make you want to do stuff together, compete with each other, just like work together.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense. In the aspect of that's how you would start building a structure. With your friends, with your friends that you surround yourself with. They say a lot about you, and if they're out there worried about how am I supposed to make progress in life, then they're gonna start thinking of solutions to how to get more money, how to get more resources, how to start building more. So that does help you, in a sense. But then now I come back to you again and I ask the question of a very specific question. What if this guy does not have all these great friends and his intuition's a little bit off, so his friends are not focused on the future?
I would say that he would have to be put in a really, really life-changing situation for him to realize that he needs to change or do something different with what he's doing in his life. Something very drastic that happens can make someone realize that they need to do better, and it'll motivate them to do better than what's going on in their current life.
Well, that brings up a great point too, in which a lot of men, some of them need to be molded. Some of them need a little bit of trials so they can start building their armor.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that most of the guys that are been great have overcome giant trials and tribulations. They have overcome despite life giving them a hand that wasn't as favorable as some others. So, I mean, that could be, digging deep into your soul and saying, well, I'm not going to let this break me. I'm going to weather the storm. And that's my inspiration, So now with that, I mean, that's a good point. So then we'll go to the other part. What if it's a guy that has grown up with nothing but women in his life? So it's hard to be, pretty masculine when you've been surrounded by women all your life, and 19, let's say. He doesn't know exactly where to go. He doesn't know what to do. How would he be inspired to be a better man?
I would say that since like you said, he's just grown up with women all of his life, I feel like he needs to do research on being masculine. I feel like learning how to be masculine will make him motivated, inspired. But you know what, the feminine mindset is not gonna really help you out in life.
Okay, and the question is, why not?
Hello, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, why wouldn't the feminine mind help you in life? But in this particular instance, we're just talking about this instance, which is you're a man, you're starting out literally from scratch, you've been surrounded by nothing but females, so you practically have a feminine mind. Why would it be not logical to have that mindset?
Because you're gonna be scared and nervous.
Okay.
I mean, you know how women are. They're gonna have all these thoughts in their head. What's gonna happen if they do this, that? Can't think straight. Certain scenarios and stuff like that, I feel like.
Okay. So, in other words, if you have if you've been, we'll call it feminized for right now, for lack of a better term, you're going to be a little bit softer in the aspect of, and a little bit weaker when it comes down to your emotions, because you won't be able to control your emotions as well as a man who already has a structure, you know. So I mean, it would only make sense, you know, now as a woman or as a girl, yeah, no, you want to be feminine, you want to have a feminine mentality. Why, you know, why would you want to have anything else? But as a man, you don't want to be feminized, you don't want to have a feminine mentality, because, you know, as a man, the world that we're surrounded in, or that we're put in, the situations we're put in, is usually, you know, we have to fight for it, you know. And I don't mean fight physically, I mean like we really have to grind it out. We really have to, you know, like, let's say work, you know, we have to go there every single day. Whether we want to go or not, that's irrelevant. We have to do it. No
matter how much the job sucks, you just have to go.
Exactly. So, you know, a lot of women though have the option that they don't have to work. Why? Because the man's already working. So if they're with a man, they don't really have to, you know. And then that brings up another point, which can, I guess, be tied down to it, is that is the reason why single mothers, you know, now that we bring that up, single mothers, they don't, a lot of them are very frustrated, and they're very, they become very masculine, because they have to do both sides of that coin, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for them, especially if the guy's not around. You know, they're single mothers. So if the guy's not around, she has to show some type of masculinity towards, you know, whether it's a girl or a boy that they have to show it, you know, because masculinity is kind of an authority. And that's why feminists hate masculinity, and they demonize it, because it's a structure with rules, and that's what we bring. And feminists want to be as far away from any type of rule that stops them from doing anything. They just want to go wild.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
not a good thing.
Yeah, you know,
that's
they want to
masculine men and feminine women are needed in relationships.
Yes.
Exactly for that reason.
Yes. So when you see that, then you're like, okay, so these poor single mothers, they have to go out there and be masculine and feminine all at the same time, which really weighs on them, and they become very stressed. And then since there are females, they get extremely emotional, and they don't have a rock, you know, to stabilize them. They don't have somebody that's there that's going to be like, okay, everything's going to be fine, we'll figure this out. Because they're going to be constantly worried about the problem, and the more you worry about the problem, the more that problem is going to be there, the more it's going to come, the bigger it can get, and then it just becomes a disgusting cycle of, you know, toxicity going back and forth in your own head, about issues that are probably not even issues, you know, to a man. They're just becoming issue just because, you know, she has so many things to worry about. There's so much fear, there's so much worry, there's so much anxiety, you know. And then again, that all those emotions go down to the kid. The kid ends up, you know, now having sicknesses, because it is true, there are certain kids that as they're growing up, they'll have a certain amount of sicknesses, it's like more of a mental thing than it is an actual physical sickness. So, you know, because their minds are so filled in with all these worries, all this fear, because of, you know, the mother's, you know, pouring that into the poor child. Now the child is carrying that, and the child starts to mentally start to break down its own body because of all the worries, all the anxiety, all the, you know, they're taking in all of that, they're soaking in all these emotions.
Too much for them.
And exactly.
As a kid, it'll be too much. They won't be able to know how to handle it. You know, we carry on with them as they're adults.
Yes.
The cycle just continues.
Exactly. So then, you know, that comes down to the reason why it's a lot harder for single mothers when it comes down to raising your kids. It's because there's a lot of you're missing the structure practically, you know, and the structure that women give is not the same type of structure that a man gives. So in that aspect, masculinity becomes very positive.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then, okay, so then we covered that. So now we'll go to the part where it's the man, right? You're a man. What can inspire you is you have a child, right? That's a big thing in life for men. You know, that's your lineage, that's your offspring, that's your you know, your next generation. So for a man, that keeps you focused. That keeps you, oh no, I have a kid, I have to get this done, I gotta keep going. I can't think of, you know, this job really sucks, I really don't like it. Maybe I should just take a day off. There's none of that, you know, because you are inspired. You're like, no, I have to take care of my kids, because if I don't take care of my kids, nobody else is going to do it. So I got to step up. There's no cavalry coming. It's just me.
It's just you. Yeah.
You know,
can't rely on anybody.
Exactly. So that as a man, that's what we have to live with. You know, we live as men, we live a life where we don't have safety nets. You know, we don't have a man's group that, you know, we get battered and we get physically, mentally, you know, psychologically abused, and there's no homes that'll take us in. You know, it's just the streets practically, and you know, if you're lucky, you can buy a tent, and you know, now you're living on the street. So we don't have that luxury, you know, and that's another thing that can inspire us. You know, that really keeps us inspired is the fact that there's nobody coming. There's no cavalry. There's nobody, no Superman is going to come and get me and save me. I'm not the damsel in distress. I can't be.
That's true. Yeah, as a man, you can't.
Yeah.
You're all on your own.
That's it, right? So, since we know this, then that's a good way to be inspired, and to start thinking to yourself, hey, if I don't start saving money, if I don't start managing my finances, I could literally end up in a tent on the side on the sidewalk at some point.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very, very possible for practically any man at the moment. Well, at least in the, you know, here in California, even in LA County, you could see it. You know, there's a lot of guys that just gave up.
I know. Like, you could just look at them as for inspiration. Like, you don't want to end up like them, you know. It's a very unfortunate situation to be in.
Yeah, and it's not, again, it's not to put those people down. You know, I mean, I'm sure homeless people, you know, there's different styles of homeless people. There, you got guys who have, you know, done a lot of drugs, you know, and that affected them. You have guys who have mental illnesses that affects them. They can't function correctly in society. Then you have guys who have a lot of trauma, you know. And then you have other guys who, you know, probably have injuries, and they have no other choice but to keep on going in life, and that's the only way they can, you know, go on life. And then you have the other ones too who weren't taught, you know, they may not have parents, and that's all they know, and they think that that's life, you know, because nobody else has opened up their minds to something better, or you know, the right path. So you have different styles of them. So it's not to talk bad about the homeless people, of course not. They're in bad situations. That's all we can say. But they're the main example of what can happen to a man if he doesn't get inspired.
Yeah, he's gonna be in that situation.
You know, so us as men, that should be our inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Looking at other people that are in a worse situation than you, that should definitely motivate you, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of a silly way in a way, but to look at other people who may be in worse situations than you, you know, and I guess be inspired by them, it's kind of you know, it's kind of a weird, silly situation, but at the same time, it makes you value everything you do have. You know, it makes
you feel like more grateful, right?
Yeah,
for everything you got.
You're extremely grateful for everything you have, and as a man, gratitude, you know, is a positive trait of masculinity. Being grateful for what you have, for the opportunity you have, for being, you know, the strong man that you are. That's, whew, man, that goes a long way, and that's another part of inspiration. That, you know, gratefulness, that's a great part of masculinity that will keep you motivated, because you want to be able to keep what you already have, and you want to be able to get more, you know. So a lot of the times that gratitude will inspire your ambition, which can be very positive trait to have as a male, because that's going to make you want to, you know, keep on looking forward, looking onto the future, wanting to progress a little bit more, you know. And like we said, you know, we're here to solve problems. And how do you solve problems? You solve it in the future, you know. So you take the present, you look at it, you plan on how to fix it, and then that becomes your future, right? And unfortunately for the female mind, what happens is it stays stuck in the problem, and it's really hard for them to keep on going. So it's kind of like they have the brake and the gas at the same time, you know, because
it's tough for them.
Yeah, so it's really hard for them. So they are progressing, but they're progressing, you know, foot by foot. While we can, you know, us as men, we can progress by yards. You know, we can just make it happen really fast. The reason being is because our mentality allows us to be able to separate that feeling.
Yeah, you know, just how the way women are wired. It's always been like that for you, millions of years probably.
Yeah, you know. So that's why a lot of the women want a very mentally stable man. Is because that's gonna bring her stability, and that's gonna make her be able to be a little bit softer, and meaning she doesn't have to worry about, you know, what are we hunting for today, you know. She no longer has to worry about that. All she has to worry about is, how am I gonna cook that hog? How am I gonna cook that cow? How am I gonna, you know what I mean? Like she's thinking of how to cook that, instead of worrying about, oh my god, how are we going to get this giant monster that we have to feed off of, you know, how are we going to subdue it, you know. She doesn't have to worry about that. You know, all she has to worry about is cooking it, or preparing it and cooking it, and you know, that, I mean, that's a big thing, of course, because you want to eat good food, but it also lets her to be lets her be her biology, and be more in tune with her biology, which is, worrying about how to make the food better, how to make it prettier, how to take care of the home. That's what she's supposed to be doing. So she feels more natural in that state, and that's why she needs a masculine man, so the masculine man could go out there and do what he has to do. Now, I'm not saying she can't help a little, with the hunting. That's very possible, and it's great help, because it makes the man's life a little bit easier too. Just like the man doesn't, can also kind of help her out as she's preparing her food. So it's all, we can work as a team. And again, that goes back to the inspiration that we're supposed to have as a man. That's what keeps us inspired. Is, like when we have a kid, that really inspires us because we want the best for our children. That's our legacy. And it's pretty important to us as men, to want to leave a good legacy. That's a good child. That's our offspring. That's who we are practically, and we want to be able to give them the best. So that as being a father really inspires you. Like it's just you stop worrying about the small stuff and you start looking at the bigger picture as a father. Because now you have somebody who depends on you completely, and then now you have to worry about not only your future, but you have to worry about their future. And when that happens, you start learning how to save for the future. You start learning how to work harder so you can have a better future. So all this, now you start focusing practically only on the future as a man, because you're trying to make sure that they are stable, and they are good. That's our whole thing.
For the rest of their lives too.
Yeah.
So, for the rest of your life, you stay motivated.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like that is a good way to motivate a man. When he has a child, that's like the ultimate motivation. That changes your whole life as a man, because you can't think the same. Anything you do as a father, the child is going to record it, and then you're gonna see them use words, and you're like, hey, where'd you learn that from? And when you get that finger pointed directly at you, it's an uncomfortable situation for yourself.
Yeah, you might not even realize it too.
yeah, and they're sitting there saying stuff about the kid, but the kid's not at fault in that instance, because it's taking a video from you. And if you don't show the kid right from wrong, then they're gonna record whatever they see. So that's another thing that'll keep you inspired. Last but not least, if you're a guy who's excuse me, if you're a guy who just came out, let's say you're 19, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what direction to take, best thing to do is to sit down and make a plan. What is your plan? Do you plan to have a family? Do you plan to have a house? Do you plan to own a business? What do you plan to have a certain career? If you have, once you start figuring out what you want to be, then you practically can sit down, grab a pen, and start writing it all down. And when you start writing it all down, then you start figuring out, you start working backwards, which is, okay, I need to get here, but what do I need to get me to be in that place? So then you go look, then you start searching, you start researching, you start getting that knowledge together, you start getting experience together, and then you start executing, which is, once you start executing, then that's where your experience starts to come in, and that's when you start using your knowledge. So again, writing down your goals could actually be another way to really inspire you to want to do better, to want to be able to push forward, because how are you going to reach your goals if you're not going to put work into it?
Yeah, people recommend that you start writing your own personal goal. Everything you want to do in life, you just write it down, or they get a piece of paper and they put it like right in front of the bathroom mirror, so you can read it every day. So you can inspire them, they'll read those same words every day. They wake up in the morning for work. They'll read those words. Yeah, you can do it. You're gonna do it. It'll take time, but you'll do it.
Yeah. So I mean that's that's another little trick you can do too. Is you write it down, put it in front of your face so you can see it every single day, and it'll get to a point where you'll convince your mind that this is what I have to do. Because that's what you want to do. So it becomes a way of inspiring you. Of now you have to stay focused on that inspiration. And as men, again, we have to keep on going. There's going to be times where it's going to be hard. And the good thing about us is, we have acceptance. So if you can accept that you're not the you could never put yourself in a situation where you're the damsel in distress, then you'll constantly overcome everything. Anything that life throws at you, you will overcome, because you have accepted the truth. And the truth is, nobody's gonna come and save you. It's only you. You have to stay inspired, and it's not so much how should I say, it's not so much that you're gonna go get something. It's the fulfillment of getting that. I think that's the most important part, really. That wonderful feeling of validation as a man. You conquered. You went out there. You fought a good fight, and you finally got to that little goal that you made. And now that you're at that goal, you celebrate a little bit. You're a little bit more confident about yourself because you proved it to yourself.
That's what makes you keep going.
Yeah. So that
get ready for the next big goal.
There you go. So I think another thing too is, you can still do exactly what you said, which is, write it all down, put it in front of your mirror, but you want to start off with, little goals. Like I said, we're taking the situation of a young man who's 19, just got out of high school, has no direction, and I think the best thing to do is start making little goals. Like, okay, maybe now I need to find a job. Just getting a job is a big thing sometimes for some people, and that could be part of your first goal. Or maybe even do side gigs, which will get you enough money to maybe just buy yourself a nice little bucket, and then after you get that bucket, the inspiration from that is, okay, now I own something that's mine. Now when I say go get you a bucket, I don't mean don't go get a brand new car that you're gonna pay $800 a month for every single month. That's insane. Don't do that. Get you
not good advice.
Yeah, get you something that's that's you're gonna buy fully. It's gonna be yours, and then learn how to actually work on it, because that's gonna inspire you. The maintenance of cars, changing tires, oil changes, transmission fluid changes, radiator flushes. If you can learn how to do those things, changing brakes, if you can learn how to do those things, that would really, really help you out. Because those are small, itty bitty things that you can do that mechanics charge you an arm and a leg for. And if you're constantly doing, taking it to the mechanic's getting, $200 each single time. And, you have this car. Now the car is actually more expensive. You might as well have gotten that $800 car, a month. Because if you're going to keep taking it, the whole point of getting yourself a bucket is to be able to learn on how to fix it yourself. How to, I'm not saying go do a block change. I'm not saying go do let's say it's you don't have to do a power chain. That one you might want to take it to a mechanic. It's going to come out cheaper for you because those are it takes that's a, I think it's at a 8 to 12 hour job. So you don't have to you know, you don't have to completely do the whole thing. But you want to be able to do the little things, you know, like filter changes. I mean, you can change out a filter here and there, a thermostat. That's not that difficult.
Yeah, just start with the small stuff, right?
Yeah, you know, a starter, alternator, battery. You know, those are all really simple things that you can actually do yourself. That you don't need a mechanic to come and tell you how to do it. A lot of that stuff is on YouTube. You can sit there and check it all day, and they actually tell you step by step. They show you, they have the exact same car as you, and it's so simple to do. You might as well just do it yourself, you know. And with that, you'll start getting inspired to want to maintain your car, and that will help you appreciate. You know, it really helps you appreciate your car. You know, because you guys are bonding in a way. I know it's weird with metal, but us as men, we bond with metal. I don't know why. So I don't know what it is.
It's just what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, you know, I don't know a guy that doesn't start working on his car and he's just like, I don't know, I don't want to let go of my car. I feel like we're, you know, a unit. You know, so it's just the way it is. But as men, that really helps you out, and that'll start inspiring you to do, you know, a better maintenance on your car, and to be able to, you know, change out hoses if you need to. You know, maybe you can start going to the bigger stuff, you know, like maybe start doing the switches, the sensors. You can do a whole bunch of stuff from there. You can start progressing and to start building your little car up. That's why you see a lot of these guys. You see some guys that are extremely, you know, they have money. They got big money. I've known some guys that are like, I knew a guy that was a millionaire. Actually, I know 2, 3. I've known about 4 guys that are millionaires. Only one of those millionaires was actually out there spending money. The rest of them had big giant houses, big giant mansions, and whatever they could do themselves, they would do. There was a guy who had a garden, and he would take, you know, 2-3 hours to go and literally maintain his own garden. And I was like, well, why don't you just hire a gardener or something, you know, somebody to take care of it? And he's like,
yeah, I would have said the same thing.
That's not the point. He said, this is something that I enjoy doing. This is something which I have created, and this is mine. And I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense, you know. Yeah, that made perfect sense. And then we went into his garage. He had a four car garage. It's humongous. And he had his weekend car, which I believe was a Ferrari Testarossa, right? And you know, he would do the small stuff on it. Whatever he could do on it, he would do it. The rest, he would take it. But then also, he was only driving it, you know, maybe once a week. He was taking it out, because that was his car, his weekend car, you know. But then on top of that, he had an old bucket which he would work on all the time, which is the thing he loved to do, you know. And again, you know, this is a guy with status, prestige. This guy's like, you know, I think he was making like $250 a year, and he was still acting like you and me. He was still out there just working on his car. You know, his old bucket that he had for like, I think that was his second car he ever had, and he kept it. And he could definitely buy another one. He has a Ferrari Testarossa in his garage. Like, he could buy another one. He had another, I think it was another hybrid, Lexus. He bought his wife the newer Lexus at that time, and the SUV one, and it's a beautiful car, amazing, which I personally really love that car. So he, you know, it's like, but he wanted to keep on doing his own things, because those were his things. Those are the things that he started building out with. He bonded with them practically, you know. He bonded with those vegetables that he was planting. He bonded with that car, his second car that he bought, you know. So, and from the looks of it, to me personally, I thought he, when he showed me his bucket, he was like, he was so proud of that car. When he showed me the Ferrari Testarossa, he was like, oh yeah, I got this thing. I was like, wait, why are you reacting like that? Like, bro, what do you, this thing's worth like, you know, a house, and you got a house inside your garage, and you're proud of the other one. Like, it just doesn't, you know, at that moment it didn't make sense, but now it does. You know, now it completely makes sense, because he showed me value. You know?
Oh, you gotta appreciate it, right?
Yes, sir.
What you got?
So appreciation is a big part, big giant part of being inspired. You know, because you're inspiring to make that better. And you know, as you bond with metal, you want to keep it and you want to build it to be more than what it is. You know, and if you're the one taking care of it, I don't know, we get attached to it, you know. So I don't know if you've ever had a situation like that.
No, I don't know any millionaires.
Oh.
I wish I did.
No, but I'm just saying, like, maybe not millionaires, but I'm just saying that, you know, a situation of where you've learned to appreciate what you have.
Oh yeah, of course. Like the people, like, before I even know how to drive, like, man, I hate getting picked up and dropped off. I hated it. Wasting money on Ubers. But then once I got a car, like, I appreciated the car. Even though it was like an old used car, I appreciated it though.
Yeah, you see, so it's like that appreciation starts to build your character. You know,
it does.
So then that makes you a little bit tougher, and then that shows you reality. You know, that you can have a freaking Lamborghini or Ferrari, but that doesn't make you the man you are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's literally where your inspiration should come from, is your own value of how to be a better you. You know, it all unfortunately, it ties down in every single episode. We always come back to the same thing.
Literally.
You know, it's the being a better you. You know, and being a better you is not a Rolex. That's just a prize. That's not a better you. You know, because like we say, I can make a dog walk on his hind legs. He's still not a human. You know, it's still a dog, regardless of how you look at it. So you can have a Rolex on your wrist. That doesn't make you a better man. Yeah. You know, so those are the things that we have to see. You know, just the car does not make you a better man. You're a better man because you're a better man. You know, you should find your own value as a man. To be honest with you, you shouldn't have validation from anybody else. And once you learn that validation, then you don't really care what anybody else thinks. You stop worrying about that. And that's believe it or not, that's all noise. And that noise is, you know, because some people, you know, here's another part of the inspiration, that the negative part, I guess, or a negative situation to get inspired is you can have people who just hate. You can have a lot of people who just hate you, and they want to keep you down, and they want to make sure you don't go above them, because if you go above them, then they're gonna feel less.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's the reason they hate.
Yeah. And those guys wake up every morning and they don't miss one time where they're drinking their haterade. They just don't miss. You know.
Haterade is a good one.
Yeah, no, they're practically diabetics with that haterade. You know. So it's a bad, how shall I say? It's a bad mentality to have as a man, where you want to bring down everybody else so you can feel better. But again, that just means you're too emotional. You know.
Yeah.
You're being controlled by that emotion. So that's but if you're the guy on the opposite side of that, that'll keep you inspired, because that just means they're gonna hate you even more. The more you succeed, the more they're gonna hate you. You know, the worse they're gonna feel inside. They're gonna, they say your payback is your success. Your revenge should be your success. And when they start hating, it just means you're succeeding. So
yeah, if you ever run into that situation, I feel like you should be happy about yourself because you know you're doing good.
Yeah, because a lot of
random stranger just hates on you. Nice rental car. I'll laugh about it. I wouldn't get mad.
Yeah,
I'll be pretty funny thinking about it just now.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. You know, you're preparing for the future, right? So I know you're building right now. So you can see that a lot of people right now, they're good with you, right? And the reason why they're good with you, because in their brains you're at a lower level, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start getting up higher and they start seeing that you built, they're gonna be like all of a sudden being like, hey, why is this guy trying to be above me? That's not how it should be. I should be above him. But then when they see what you have, then they're like, wait a second, why is this guy better? Then that's when the envy starts. That's when the real envy starts to begin. The jealousy that starts to kick in, and then that's when they want to start doing negative things towards you. So, but the best payback is for you to outgrow them, past them, and start shining, so they can see your sunshine every single day, which only torments them. So that's another way to be inspired, is when you have these haters, just keep on going and do it all with a smile, because you are focused on the end goal, you know.
But don't let it get to your head too.
Just
ignore it.
Because they want to what they want is they want to control you and keep you where you're at. But if they see that mentally you have outgrown them and you can no longer be controlled by them, then they don't know what to do. Then they start pouting and being like a little kid, and they start pouting because you're not my friend anymore. You're not where you're supposed to be at. You know, they start acting all weird like that. So, and like I said, your success though is gonna validate you. They don't validate you. You validate you. So that's when we come back to the same thing. So we get down to our final thoughts, Mr. Shadow. And after we all, we went through this whole conversation, why don't you give us your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is, please stay motivated at all times, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in the same place, hating your life. And be more inspired. Surround yourself with better people. Don't surround yourself with people who do drugs, drinks alcohol, gamble every day of their lives. Because you're gonna be the same way as them. Do that.
All right, yeah. So there's a saying, I believe it's in Spanish, where tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. So if your friends are doing things that are mischievous, then most likely you are involved with them, and it's very unfortunate. I know that's judging a book by its cover, but sometimes for your own protection, you have to do that. And it's not personal. It's just that you want your growth, and those people like that aren't gonna help you grow. None of them help you grow. If anything, they're gonna do everything possible to hold on to your feet and keep you where you're at. They're gonna be your biggest.
You're gonna be dragged.
Yeah, they're gonna be your biggest anchor. I know, because they are the biggest haters. And like I said, they don't miss a day that they don't drink that haterade. So make sure you stay inspired and you surround yourself with the right people that will help you keep inspired. That's a good little support group that you can have, and that'll help you out in life. So So yeah, with that said, we will leave it here. Until the next time, Mr. Shadow.
Yeah. See you guys later.
All right, man. We're out. Peace.
Peace.